Now, did you know that you can learn how to speak a language without spending any money whatsoever? While now this isn't my personal recommendation when it comes to learning a language, I do understand for a lot of people, their finances may not be in a place where they can invest a lot of money into their language learning. And that's completely understandable. But at the same time, you don't want to let a lack of funds prevent you from learning a language. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of different tools that you can use that are either completely free or have a free plan that can help you with learning your language and achieving your language goals. Now, the first tool that we're going to be going over is going to be Duolingo, which is an app I'm sure many of you are already familiar with. And I know some people have some very strong opinions about Duolingo. There are some people that absolutely love Duolingo and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you also have other people that just absolutely despise Duolingo. They hate all of the changes and how it's evolved as a company. And I understand on both sides, and I've seen both sides. I've seen people that are super dedicated, and I've seen people that are extremely critical of Duolingo. But all that being said, I do think that this app is a really good way to help you get your foot into learning a language and to start to develop that habit. Now, for me personally, I've used Duolingo to study Esperanto, Spanish, and French. Now, the Esperanto course, unfortunately, isn't that great. I mean, they do have some pretty good audio. It teaches you around like 2,000 words or so. So I mean, it's enough to sort of like get you going, but definitely it can't be the only thing that you use if you're trying to learn Esperanto. Now, for Spanish and French, it's a completely different story. Now, obviously, with Duolingo being a for-profit company, one of the things they need to do is focus on where the money is. And Spanish and French happen to be very popular courses for them. And so as a result, these are some of the best courses on the Duolingo platform. These are the two languages that I'm studying currently, which is Spanish or French, and it is totally worth it. I think each one teaches you like around 8,000 words or so per course. You know, they have listening exercises, reading exercises, speaking exercises. You know, they get you practicing like writing short text. Like they have so much content and resources available for these languages. So especially if you're studying those two, I would strongly recommend to utilize Duolingo. Now, of course, Duolingo does have two different paid plans, and you don't have to get it. I do have it personally. I mean, the only real benefit is that you know, you don't have to deal with the heart system, so you can just practice as much as you like without worrying about making mistakes, and you know, you don't have to like see any ads. So I find those benefits to be personally worth it. So I mean, if you don't have like the money, or you just don't feel inclined to spend money on Duolingo, then by all means use the free version, and you know, just try to get in at least a couple of lessons per day. Like even like when it comes to the best courses like Spanish and French, which they pour a lot of time and money in, like even though these courses are very good, you don't want to be relying solely on Duolingo. You do want to be incorporating other tools and other resources, some of which I'll be going over. But definitely, if you're on a budget and you just want an easy way to like make progress in your target language, you really can't go wrong with using something like Duolingo. Now, the next tool that I would recommend when it comes to learning a language for free would have to be Anki. Now, I've actually done an entire video on Anki, so you should see something pop up on your screen at some point, which allows you to click over to that video. And I'll also include a link in the description as well, so you can check that video out as well. But so I'm not going to try to repeat too much that I said in that video. But basically what Anki is what's known as an SRS. An SRS is called a space repetition system. So it basically uses digital flashcards, and you're able to go and review your words in such a way where like the words that you know really well, you see them less frequently, while the words that you kind of struggle with, you see them more frequently. And what it does is each time like you remember a word and you're able to recall the meaning, you can the algorithm works in such a way where that it spaces it out, so that way as you review it, it helps review it within certain intervals, and it helps to strengthen those mental connections. So this is a really great app to have because like if you're trying to learn words in your target language, I mean this is honestly one of the best tools. Like you probably like seen other videos of language learners talking about using Anki, and trust me, it's all that and more. So highly recommend using this tool. You can use it for free in most places. The only exception I believe is if you're trying to use either like the iPhone or an iTouch or something like that. But by and large, like you can use this for free just about anywhere, whether you have like a Windows computer, you know, a Mac, or you know, what have you. So definitely highly recommend using this tool. And another thing is just like to really get the most out of this tool, well, to get the most out of any of the tools really, is that you have to be using it on a consistent basis. And this is especially true of Anki as well, because if you're reviewing your cars and let's say like you miss a day or two of reviewing your cars, like you're going to start to develop a really big backlog. And this is what derails a lot of people when it comes to using Anki, because like they use it for a bit, then they slack off, and then they start getting so far behind, like they just end up not using it. And you know, that's a real shame. So if you do decide to use Anki, like realize this is going to be a long-term commitment and that you have to be using it every day. Like try to find like a time like during the day where you know you'll have like a few minutes or so where you can just review your index cards. But yeah, highly recommend using this tool. So the next app that I want to recommend when it comes to using a language for free is actually the app that you're using right now, which is the YouTube platform. So what's cool about YouTube is that obviously YouTube isn't just available, you know, in the United States or wherever it is you're watching it. You know, YouTube is available all around the world, and you know, different people from different countries and backgrounds, like they put up videos in a whole bunch of different languages. So it's very likely that there exists YouTube channels or channels with your target language. So when it comes to using YouTube like as a language learning tool, I would highly recommend creating a separate YouTube account that you only use for your target language. So just to give you an example here, so this is my channel that I use for like posting videos like this, but I also have other YouTube channels as well for the languages that I'm studying. So I have one for French, one for Spanish, as well as one for Esperanto. So this is kind of a hybrid channel where I do use it for consuming Esperanto content, but at some point in the future I am going to be uploading videos to that channel. So you know, stay tuned for that. So anyways, yeah, like the idea is that you want to create a separate channel only for that particular target language. So for the Spanish channel, for instance, for Espanol, I only watch Spanish videos. For French, I only watch French videos. And by doing that, you get the algorithm to work in such a way where it starts to show you more of that content in that particular language. So setting up a YouTube account is 100% free. Now you could decide if you want to get like the premium version, which you know does cost a couple of dollars per month, but it's not something you necessarily need. Like I do pay for the premium version, and I can tell you that it's pretty great not having to deal with ads and stuff. Of course, you know, creators do like sponsors and stuff like within the videos, and you know, I can't really like avoid that. But if anything, it's just more exposure to the language, like when they do like the whole sponsorship. So I don't really mind that too much. But just seeing like the programmatic ads and being able to, you know, block that out, like I do find that it's worth it. But if you're not able to pay for ads, or you don't really mind them all that much, then by all means, you know, YouTube is definitely a great place where you can just get tons and tons of input, and from there, like you really are able to expose yourself and immerse yourself in the language. Like you'll hear like when a lot of language learners talk about immersing yourself in the language, this is part of what they mean, which is by consuming content within that language, by hearing how it's used like in real time by real speakers. Like that's what allows you to help to develop that unconscious understanding, that instinct, so to speak, when it comes to learning a language. So, you know, by all means, if you haven't already, just create yourself a new YouTube account for your target language. You know, start watching a couple of videos, and then over time, as YouTube begins to learn like what types of videos you like in that particular language, it'll start showing you up more of it, and you know, you'll just it'll be a lot of fun. And that's another thing that's cool too. Like when you're watching videos, like it doesn't feel like you're like doing work, but I mean, if you're watching something that's genuinely enjoyable, and that's another thing too, like when it comes to like watching content, make sure that you're watching something that you find enjoyable and that you're interested in. Like if you're watching a channel and you feel like you're just kind of slogging through it, then by all means, like watch something else. Like life is like too short to give our time to things that bore us or that aren't interesting to us. So that's another thing too when it comes to like just using YouTube. You know, find stuff that you're interested in, even if it feels like it's a little bit above your level or you don't really understand it too well. If it keeps you engaged, then that's over time, as you keep exposing yourself to it, you're going to understand it more and more and more. And combined with using all the other tools, like for Anki, for instance, like you can study a word in Anki, and then from Anki you can go and watch a video and you'll see somebody use that video in real time. So now it helps to build that connection in your head. And as you continue to get more exposure between reviewing words on Anki and then watching the YouTube videos, like it just creates like this virtuous cycle where you just become more and more skilled and understanding the language, and you know, it just becomes second nature to you. So, you know, excellent tool to use like if you're trying to learn a language for free. So another app that I would highly recommend when it comes to learning a language for free is called Polygloss. Now, I will give a small caveat when it comes to using the Polygloss app. Ideally, you should be somewhere around an intermediate stage if you want to be using this app, because it's going to require that you're able to at least write in your target language. So if you're not at a point yet where you're strong enough or you have enough skills to write in your target language, then you may want to save this for a little bit later. But assuming you are at like an intermediate level, you know, more or less, and you feel comfortable with like expressing your thoughts, or at least you can push yourself to like express your thoughts in your target language, then I would highly recommend adding this app to your arsenal. So yeah, so basically the idea behind how this app works is that you get paired off with someone. Like this could be either another person that's learning the language, or ideally it could be a native speaker of the language. And from there, like if you decide you want to send a request out, so you can either send a request or you can receive a request. So when you send a request, basically you can choose like on what picture that you like. So you pick a picture and then you use your target language to describe the picture that you chose. And then from there, you send the request out, the other person receives it, and then they have to figure out which picture you chose. There's going to be 4 pictures, by the way, so it's not going to look exactly like this, but yeah, so there's going to be 4 pictures, and they're going to have to choose the correct picture based on the description that you wrote. So if you made like any mistakes or anything like that, they could like correct your mistakes and show you like what you could do differently. And then from there, once they go and they complete their match, you can go and they can like choose a picture, and then they could write like a little description as well. So you like kind of trade matches, so to speak. So as you would expect, you know, some languages are going to be more popular than others, but they do support like a ton of different languages, which is like really great. You see like over 13,000 people have used this app. You know, it is available on Android and iPhone, so you know, that's not an issue or anything like that. But yeah, so as you see here, right, like over 80 plus languages that it supports. So like chances are like it supports the language like you're trying to learn. So, or you, and even if it doesn't support the language, you know, you could always just send over a contact request, or just send them a request and just let them know like, you know, you speak this language, and you know, they can try to work and see if they can include that. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I use this a lot when I was learning Esperanto. I'm currently not at the point yet where I'm strong enough in French or Spanish to be able to use Polygloss. But when I was using it for Esperanto, I found it extremely helpful. It actually was like a good, decent amount of people. I don't use it so much now. I'm actually using a different website called 65 Words, where basically the goal is to write 65 words, which I did do a video on. So I might pop a link up over here at some point where, you know, you can check out the whole 65 words thing. But I didn't include it in that because I'm assuming this video is going to be for people that are still just kind of starting out, and you know, they're just trying to find a way where they can like kind of start taking baby steps. But yeah, this is a really great app to use. Like I said, like if you're at the roughly around the maybe late beginner at the very earliest to like an intermediate level, this is a really great place where you can start just practicing your writing and just getting in the habit of outputting in your language, of just being able to communicate, so to speak. So definitely highly recommend using this app. So next app that we're going to go over when it comes to learning a language for free is an app that is called HelloTalk. So the way that this website works is that basically you sign up for it, and you find yourself like a sort of partner. Like your partner speaks the language that you want to learn, and you would speak the language that your partner wants to learn, and you do a sort of exchange where like one part of the meeting is you speaking to them in their target language, well, you're speaking to them in your target language, and you know, you're helping them with their language skills, and then the next part is you helping the other person with their language skills. So it's really like a language exchange tool. So if you're not able to like afford like a tutor or something like that, like you can just find someone who's a native in the language that you want to learn, and then from there, you know, you can go and you can exchange with them. So you can see here, these are these are some of the people that are on the platform. You see what they want to learn, what it is that they can teach, and you can just pair off whoever you match up with, and from there you can just start start speaking. So yeah, like it's pretty straightforward for the most part. Okay, I see they got like this HelloTalk Live, they got voice room. So it's a pretty cool app. So I mean, obviously, like, this app would be for people that are either pretty far along in the journey where they're able to like start speaking, or maybe if you're one of those people where you want to start speaking as soon as possible in your target language, then this could be a really great app to use. Just to keep in mind though that it's not just going to be you like learning, like you're also going to have to be the one that teaches as well. So there's going to be a teacher, so you're going to play both the teacher role and the student role at the same time. So if that's something that you're up for, or if that's something that you're interested in, this is definitely a great app to use, for learning how to use a language for free. And yeah, who knows, you might meet some really interesting people. And as you can see here, over 160 languages supported, 60 million members. So it's definitely popular, and it's very likely that you'll find someone that you match up with where you can help them with help them learn your language, and they can help you learn the language that you want to learn. So the last app that I want to go over as far as learning how to learn a language for free is actually not really a language learning app at all. Like, it's really just an app that you use to track how much time you put in your target language. But I think this is very important because one of the things that time tracking does, at least for me, is that it helps me keep myself honest as far as how much time I'm putting into the language. Like, I know there are some people that are against tracking, or they can't be bothered to do it, and obviously to each their own. But for me, at least, I want to at least have a good idea of how much time I'm putting into my language learning every day. Because there's a quote that goes like dang, I forgot, how did it go? Something like okay, I had to look up this quote, but anyways, the quote goes, "The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool," by Richard Feynman. So basically what that means is that sometimes, like, we try not to get fooled, but we end up being the biggest fools of all. And it's very easy to like kind of fool yourself into thinking that you're putting more time into your language learning than you actually are if you're not tracking it. So I just see this as a sort of tool that just helps you with keeping yourself honest. So just to give you a quick rundown as far as like how I have things broken up here. So EI stands for extensive immersion. So this is the type of immersion where if I'm just like reading something, or I'm like watching a video or listening to a podcast, and I'm just kind of letting the language flow over me, I consider that extensive immersion. And then the double I, that's intensive immersion, where I'm immersing in a piece of the content, and I'm actually making a conscious effort to try to understand what it is that I'm consuming. So this is where I'll do like lookups and stuff, like using pop-up dictionaries, and just making sure that I'm breaking down each part of the language, and I'm really like making a conscious effort to understand it. So it's kind of like a sort of active acquisition. And priming, this is more or less where I have my Anki, where I do my Anki reviews. So this isn't where I'm not like immersed in the language, but I'm more like I'm learning about the language. And also Pimsleur as well, because I do use the Pimsleur audios, which I just listen to. So I do count that as part of priming as well, because like I'm learning about the language, but I'm not necessarily immersing in the language. So yeah, so that's about it when it comes to learning a language for free. Like this, it's really possible. Like, we live in a time right now where if you really want to learn like another language, a second, third, or what have you, like the resources are out there. Like, you may have to get a little bit resourceful on your end and be a little bit flexible as far as how you go about your language learning. But if you're someone that's like super motivated and you have a language where you have strong motivation to learn it, then you'll find a way to learn it. And by using, either all or at least a combination of these tools, it will definitely help you get you on the right track towards learning a language. So yeah, so I really hope you got a ton of value out of this video. And there is one more tool I wanted to mention to you guys. Like, if you enjoyed this video, I actually made a separate video on another tool called Closemaster, which does have a free version, but basically it allows you to solve multiple close sets where you learn the language in context. So it's a pretty cool video. And like I said, if you enjoyed watching this video, then I would highly recommend watching the video that I did on Closemaster. So yeah, so this is Jacob Laguerre. I'm signing off, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.